Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal, my solo hike along the Southbound Pacific Crest Trail to the Montezuma Valley Overlook in the San Felipe Hills Wilderness Study Area. The 2,650-mile Pacific Crest Trail was intended to hit as many high points as possible along its mountainous route between the Mexican and Canadian borders, but for some odd reason it takes a dip back down to the Anza-Borrego Desert within San Diego County. At the time this segment of the P.C.T. was built in the 1980s, a shorter, high-elevation route followed the forested Vulcan Mountain crest to the west, but due to a large parcel of private property in the way, it was rerouted back down from the Laguna Mountains to the Scissors Crossing Junction, and then back up over into the dry San Felipe Hills toward Warner Springs. Now think about that for a minute. You just struggled crossing the desert, and then you had to climb all the way up into the Laguna Mountains. You got a quick breath of fresh, sweet pine air, and now you got to go back down the mountain again and end up at Scissors Crossing, an oddly planned intersection in the desert for what seems like no real reason at all, except to test your perseverance. The excessively winding 24-mile stretch between Scissors Crossing and Highway S22, or Montezuma Valley Road on the map, featured no water, furnace-like heat at times, and only marginal camping spots. It also challenged the patience of anyone who tried to follow it all the way, including those going from Mexico to Canada, better known as thru hikers, who typically travel this section in April. On my adventure today, I started at the Montezuma Valley Road, where the P.C.T. crosses the highway near the unincorporated community of Ranchita, just about 10 miles east of Warner Springs. If I head north, I'd be hiking straight toward the famous Eagle Rock, but not today. I'm going the other way, southbound along the P.C.T., high up into the San Felipe Hills Wilderness Study Area, and far-ranging views out across Montezuma Valley to the north, and into the San Felipe Valley and views to the south, way down into Anza-Borrego Desert. Okay, so this isn't the most popular trail in the area. That clearly belongs to the Eagle Rock section along the P.C.T., but I've been there many times and I wanted to explore something new. What's there to see, you might ask? Well, I was asking myself the same thing, so I did a little digging. As it turns out, along this stretch of the P.C.T., I'll hit the 100-mile marker. That's pretty cool, I guess. And I'll also pass right by what P.C.T. thru hikers call Billy Goat Cave, a small cave along the trail where you might just duck in for a quick respite from the cold winds or the high temperatures, and maybe even spend the night there if you're feeling lazy or tired and just don't feel like setting up your tent. And of course, the final view back down into Anza-Borrego Desert and the Scissors Crossing Junction from the San Felipe Hills Overlook. So what's so special about the San Felipe Hills Wilderness Study Area? The San Felipe Hills Wilderness Study Area is in northeastern San Diego, about 18 miles west of Borrego Springs and 85 miles northeast of San Diego. The study area is 2 miles west of the unincorporated community of Ranchita, where the Bigfoot sighting was, and its southeast corner borders Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. This 5,325-acre wilderness study area consists entirely of public lands administered by the BLM, or Bureau of Land Management. The terrain consists of rolling hills that rise steeply from the surrounding valleys, with elevations that range from 2,800 feet to 4,660 feet, and is considered a botanically rich segment of the P.C.T. in the arid San Felipe Hills of Anza-Borrego. Well, I'll be the judge of that, I guess. The hills are covered with dense, scrubby chaparral, with small clusters of live oak and scrub oak on the lower slopes. I'm supposed to be on the lookout for the following common desert plants: teddy bear cholla, buckhorn cholla, hedgehog cactus, prickly pear cactus, barrel cactus, ocotillo, Mojave yucca, desert apricot, jojoba, juniper, and agave. Okay, well, all that sounds pretty interesting, especially after periods of rain or light snowfall that normally dry and stony slopes wear a fresh coat of tender grass, highlighted by annual and perennial flowers of a dozen hues. Well, it sounds like it's getting a little better. The more I learned about this section of the P.C.T., the more I thought, what the hell is a wilderness study area? I mean, I knew all about the national parks, about when they were founded and how they came to be, and I knew a little bit about the Wilderness Act of 1964, but what exactly was a wilderness study area? Well, as it turns out, in 1976, Congress directed the Bureau of Land Management to inventory and respond to Congress within 15 years all those roadless areas of 5,000 acres or more having wilderness characteristics, and from time to time shall report to the President its recommendations as to the suitability or non-suitability of each area for preservation as a wilderness. Huh, I didn't know that. They also set up wilderness characteristics that were used in the inventory, and to qualify as a wilderness, they had to have some of these following characteristics. First of all, they had to generally appear to have been affected primarily by the forces of nature, where the imprint of man's work substantially was unnoticeable. They had to have at least 5,000 acres of land, or they had to be of sufficient size big enough to make it practical for preservation and use in an unimpaired condition. They also had to have the opportunity for solitude or a primitive or unconfined type of recreation. And they may also contain ecological, geological, and other features of scientific, scenic, or historical value. California's section of the BLM began the inventory in 1978 and made its suitability recommendations to Congress in 1991. The inventory identified over 210 wilderness study areas and made 209 suitability or non-suitability recommendations. As a result, the California BLM now manages over 80 wilderness study areas, totaling over 1,360,000 acres. Wow, I didn't know that. All right, well, let's get back to the adventure. Hiking in the fall and winter produce some of the best hiking conditions in my book. None of that excessive heat, the sweating, the dehydration, the cramps to deal with, just a nice cool breeze. Once the snow flies, things change a little bit. Things get a little more risky, a little more tricky, especially for the solo hikers like myself. With overnight temperatures dipping down below the freezing mark, getting stuck out here overnight can be downright dangerous if you're not prepared. Thankfully, I've done this enough times to feel pretty comfortable heading out for a 12-mile solo hike in late fall, and once this big old storm rolled in, I was ready. Actually, I was getting a little bit excited.
Now I want you to take a look at the snow as it came down in several areas last night. Snow and icy conditions required that drivers put on chains, but by this morning we saw folks were digging out the Big Oak Lodge. The innkeeper we spoke to there, Laura Crawford, and her crew helping to clear the driveway. One customer actually needed a push to get their car unstuck.
It was a little bit chilly to say the least when I headed out from Temecula east toward Warner Springs and the turnoff toward Anza Borrego. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today I'm taking a nice, cool, frosty winter drive out toward Warner Springs, actually just south and east of Warner Springs, kind of at the top end of Anza Borrego. And I'm going to be going to Montezuma Road, and the official trail name, actually, I don't think there really is an official trail name for it, but on all trails it's called Montezuma Valley to San Felipe Hills Overlook or something like that. And basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a trip southbound on the Pacific Crest Trail. You know, that trail that goes from Mexico all the way to Canada. And believe it or not, I've been there before. I've been at the Montezuma Valley Road, Montezuma Grade Road, whatever it's called. And I've actually been northbound on the Pacific Crest Trail, and that heads about 5 miles to Eagle Rock. I'm going to be going the opposite direction. I'm going to be heading southbound, P.C.T. And we got a big storm last couple of days, but yesterday in particular, and we've got looks like quite a bit of snow. I knew it'd be cold. It's only 37 degrees right now in the car. It's about 7:30 in the morning. But all of the Palomar Range is covered in snow, which I can see just off to my right. And we're going to be at about 4,200 feet. Snow level got down to 3,000 feet, so we'll see what happens when we get to the trailhead. I would think it would melt pretty fast, but if it's, you know, daytime highs, are only going to be in the mid-40s at the highest. So maybe it didn't melt last night. It might be as high as the overnight low. I mean, it could have been in the upper 20s, low 30s, so maybe none of it melted. But anyway, I'll be prepared. I did bring my my warm layers. Mike in the kill today, but I also brought my micro spikes. I didn't bring snowshoes. I know I'm not going to need those, but the micro spikes, I might need those. So we'll see. The trail is about 5 miles headed south on the P.C.T. to a place it's the San Felipe Hills Overlook, and then I'm going to turn around and come back. So there's a couple of things that are interesting that I'm going to see along the way. One is something I've been looking forward to for a couple of months now. I kind of ran across it by accident. It's called the Billy Goat Cave. It's kind of famous for the P.C.T. through hikers. And it's not really a cave so much as it's a small little recessed mine. I don't know, not a mine shaft. It's just a recessed little tunnel in the side of the cliff. And the other thing I want to see is the 100-mile marker for the PCT. So somewhere along the trail, probably in the first couple of miles, I think, I'm going to see 100 in rocks on the ground. And that's the waypoint, or the signaling point for people heading northbound on the PCT. That's the 100-mile mark. So I'm looking forward to those two things. And other than that, that's really about it. I'm not really looking forward to seeing anything in particular. I'm just going to take a cruise, stretch my legs, enjoy this nice frosty cold weather, and get in some desert scenery. Anyway, that'll all be coming up next in this edition of the Journal. Montezuma Valley Road, southbound on the Pacific Crest Trail. If I don't hit too much snow. Anyway, that'll all be coming up next. Stay tuned. We're going to be turning left here. It looks like it's S22. And it looks like that's where he's going. That's our luck. It's okay. We only got about 2 miles to go to get to the trailhead. So we're going to be turning left on Montezuma Valley Road. And the place we're going to be going to is a place called Barrel Springs. I guess like this guy's going to let me go by. That's awful nice of him. Give him a double honk there. Let him know I appreciate it. He doesn't know I'm only going about a mile. That's okay. Eagle Rock is to our left. And we're going to be going to Barrel Springs here. And we're coming up on the trailhead real fast like. And the Pacific Crest Trail will be coming up on our left. And we're going to be going right as soon as we can find a spot to park. And it might very well be right here. No, not yet. We're close, though. We're real close. In fact, actually, this is it. And PCT crosses right there. So this is Barrel Springs. This is where we're going to be parking today, and this is where I'm going to be going. I'm going to be going straight ahead, right through those trees right there, along the Pacific Crest Trail. I'm going to go park over here somewhere. Park under the tree, I guess. With the Pacific Crest Trail right in front of us, but we're going to be going the other way. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today I'm at Montezuma Valley Road, which is not too far from Ranchita, and I'm right off S22, which is the main highway that heads from Warner Springs down toward Anza Borrego and Borrego Springs down here. So today I'm at the crossing of the Pacific Crest Trail. It's kind of noisy here, so there's a lot of cars going back and forth. It goes a Jeep. Pacific Crest Trail goes right from my right to my left. It comes out of the desert section here from Anza Borrego, works its way up to the San Felipe Hills, crosses through this section, which is known as Barrel Springs, and continues northbound along La Cañada Creek, eventually works its way past Eagle Rock and drops down into Warren Springs. So I'm going to be doing a hike today. It's going to be about maybe 10 miles roughly. It's about 5 to where I'm going. There's no real set destination. There is an overlook supposedly that where I can get a good view down toward Anza Borrego and toward Scissors Crossing. I'm going to see Vulcan Mountain off to my right, and Julian, and to the left is going to be Anza Borrego. And I'm just going to go to this overlook. That's it. Take my lunch with me today. Got a little stove. I'm going to hopefully find a nice little spot that's out of the wind, and I'll be able to sit down and have a nice little picnic lunch. I work my way back northbound on the PCT back here to Barrel Springs. So anyway, it's awful cool today. It's about 35, 37 degrees. I'm wearing a new kilt today. This is a Murphy tartan, also known as a Tara tartan. And that's actually a region in Ireland. It's not Scottish kilt, it's an Irish kilt. And it's just, I guess, north and west of Dublin. And my wife and daughter just went there. And as I was looking at the map, and that region of Ireland is known as Tara. And I'm not a Murphy, but I enjoy the Murphy colors. And I'm paying a little bit of homage to a little bit of my Irish ancestry. I'm mainly Scottish, but I also have a large percentage of Irish. So anyway, top of the morning to you, and I'm going to head that way, southbound on the Pacific Crest Trail. Well, this is the entrance to the Pacific Crest Trail, going southbound toward Anza Borrego. There's no trespassing signs. Violators will be prosecuted on both sides of the trail. So I'm assuming this is private property, but they have an easement that goes right through the middle of this. And that's looking north toward Hot Springs Mountain. You can see, you might be able to make it out the snow along the ridgeline. We might actually see some snow up here. But there is some little pockets of fog kind of wafting up out of the brush. Interesting. I've gone just a very short distance up the trail, maybe 100 feet, and sign for the Pacific Crest Trail. And also, this is called Beryl Springs. And the thing that's nice about this is there's a lot of people that decide to make this an overnight destination as they're heading north or south on the P.C.T. In fact, someone has taken the time to make a sign up in the tree that says Beryl Springs. And this is the actual spring. So it looks like they do have some water going through it here. And believe it or not, it actually looks pretty clear. I don't know if you have to treat this water or not. Looks like the trail goes that way. So this would be a really good spot. In fact, you know what else is kind of interesting about this spot here at Beryl Springs is if I decide I want to come back out here and try out my Polish Lavu overnight with my hot tent, this would be a great spot. It's 3 minutes from the car and plenty of room to set up my Polish Lavu and have my hot tent set up right here, and I don't have to haul it as far. But I'm going to continue. Obviously, I'm going to be heading south on the P.C.T. from Beryl Springs. You know, as I'm heading away from Beryl Springs, heading south on the P.C.T., you're going to be hearing this all day. This is my semi-formal sporin, and you're going to hear these tassels banging off this sporin probably pretty much all day. And then also, too, I've got my cooks on the back. You'll probably hear that rattling around. Hopefully, they won't be too annoying. Keeps the bears away, I guess. Actually, there's no bears up here. You know, I did read that the first mile or so is down in the oak. And looks like I might have to keep my eye out for poison oak. I don't see any yet, but the fact that it's nice and moist right here might lend itself to a little bit of poison oak, so I just keep my eyes open. I don't think I'm going to have to worry about snakes today. It's going to be too cold. I'm already getting winded. There's a short section here. But once I get to the groove, I should be good. The elevation gain isn't that much on this hike today. It's, I believe, wow, what a view, look at that. Oh, I'll get a better view here in a minute. Elevation gain is about 1,500 feet, I believe, over 5 miles. So it's relatively easy. Wow. Pretty impressive. I just got a little scare. I was coming up the trail and I saw something ahead of me up there, kind of in the corner. Holy shit, I thought I was a bear. I don't know if you can see that in the distance. It's rounded, looks like the rear end of a bear as he's looking the other direction. It's not, it's just a tree stump or a rock or something, but I had me thinking there for a minute. There's no bears up here, at least I don't think there is. That was kind of an eye-opener there. Well, as I'm working my way up the trail, a little bit of a confusion here. I saw this, and you can tell that it's a trail that doubles back. It looks like there might even be a sign up here. Let's see what this says. This is not the Pacific Crest Trail. And the reason I know that is there was a sign. Okay, what's this say? No trespassing, private trail, Vista Irrigation District. Huh, that's weird. Yeah, I went a little farther past the this little junction here, and there's another sign up here that does say P.C.T. It's right around that corner right there, so I just thought this was a little odd. I'll show it to you here in a second, because I was already this direction. And here's the P.C.T. sign. I don't know what this is. M.C.T. This looks like this is another path. Maybe this is a continuation of that same trail. Matagway Scout Connector Trail. So this must go to the Matagway Boy Scout Camp, which is further to the south. Didn't know this existed. Wonder if that goes all the way to the Matagway Scout Reservation. That's a long way from here, I think. I'll have to look that up when I get back. Meantime, I'm continuing south on the P.C.T. through the trees. Well, that is Mount Palomar to the left. As I swing around to the north, Hot Springs Mountain is over that direction. And we're heading east and north toward Anza-Borrego that way. What a great view, huh? Awesome view. Well, we have some pretty tremendous views from here, looking out that way. Palomar is to the left. That's the whole, the range that heads. Eventually it works its way towards San Jacinto, but that's Hot Springs Mountain, part of the Los Coyotes Indian Reservation. And S22 is the highway that you'll see down there. That's where we parked. That's where we've come from already. And it looks like cloud layer is moving in a little bit. I have a rain chill in my pack. And the other thing that I just remembered is I have a hip belt and pockets on this pack, and I didn't unclip them and put them on. So maybe at some point I will, to help with the load. I'm carrying a little bit of weight today. It's a brand new pack. I picked it up as part of a Black Friday special at the Columbia outlet. And I'm kind of testing it out. It's not going to be something I'm going to be using every day for a day hike, but maybe on the longer ones, it has a hydration port on it. And has got spots in the sides for 2 big water bottles and a big mesh pocket at the back. And it's super lightweight. It weighs almost nothing. So this is perfect for a long day hike. And I do have one coming up here pretty soon that I'll tell you about a little later. It might be difficult. And I really don't want to carry that heavy Savoda Jacari pack that I have, because that one weighs quite a bit. So if I decide to do a light airweight trip, this is probably the one I'll take. So this is kind of my my first try and see how it feels once I put on the hip belt, I guess. This is kind of cool. You can see the fog or the mist coming off the ground that's warm into that cool air, and it's kind of blowing across the trail. We're going to be heading up that way somewhere. I don't know where. I have a map. It's in my pack. I'm pretty much just going to stay on the P.C.T., so don't have to worry about getting lost today. Just stay south on the P.C.T. Well, here's the first gate I've come to. Technically, it's the second gate because I passed through a gate right when I started up the trail. There's several of them here to keep the cattle back along the P.C.T. And here's another gate along the P.C.T. The other one I just passed was right over there. Actually, it's right over there. So you get to go through another one, it looks like. As I'm continuing south on the P.C.T. Looks like we're going to have a great view here overlooking the valley. And views over that direction, believe it or not, is Eagle Rock. It's way off in the distance though. Boy, look at the snow. A pretty day today. Well, I don't know if you've been following the news over the last couple of days, but it's got a big news out here, Southern California. Fish and Wildlife captured famous Hollywood mountain lion P.C.T. a few days ago. He's kind of been getting himself into trouble recently. He, about, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, he attacked a chihuahua that was on the leash being held by the owner. And believe it or not, the owner fought him off. He ended up punching him in the head, and P.C.T. dropped the little chihuahua or whatever it was. And he managed to get away. Dog took some stitches but was fine.
Trying to just, do something, and he ultimately let go.
You were fighting a mountain lion?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's insane. And I mean, I've read about P.C.T, and then National Park Services confirmed that it was him. It's pretty incredible that, went head to head with P.C.T.
But then 2 days ago, he hopped a fence and got into a backyard and killed 2 more small dogs. They were both Chihuahuas.
And wildlife experts have confirmed that LA's most well-known mountain lion, P.C.T, was the big cat that attacked a small dog near the Hollywood Reservoir earlier this month.
And so he's been getting himself into trouble. And they decided that there's just too much human interaction right now, and that there must be something wrong with him. So they, I guess he's collared, so they found that he was hiding out just behind the backyard of a home in Los Feliz, which is near Griffith Park, which is where he lives. And they managed to tranquilize him, and they took him to the LA Zoo, where the veterinarians will take a quick look at him and check on his health. The picture that I saw on TV, he didn't look so good. He looked like he had a little bit of mange. And normally, small dogs inside the city limits are not mountain lions' normal prey. So when they have to stoop to that level, that means they're usually unable to capture their normal prey because they don't have the speed or agility or strength, probably because they're sick. So, uphill section here. The lead veterinarian said that they're going to give him the once over, and if they can rehabilitate him, get him back to health, they'll re-release him, but they have to release him in the same area. They can't do it in a different area because that'll be a death sentence. A mountain lion has about 100 square mile territory. If they release him in a different territory, it'll be in another mountain lion's home area. It's going to cause all kinds of territorial problems. Oh, I'm out of breath here. But the sad part is if he's too old or has an injury or illness that they can't rehabilitate him from where they can release him, they'll most likely have to either place him in a sanctuary or, a worst case scenario, euthanize him. I hope that's not the case. He's been one of our more famous mountain lions over the years. Been some great photographs on trail cams of P.C.T. Well, here's another tremendous view. That's Palomar right there. So I'm working my way north. And you see the mountains that are nearest to the right. That's not Hot Springs Mountain. I believe Hot Springs Mountain is all the way back, straight back. Top of that, not only is it the San Diego County High Point, it also has an old fire tower. I've been there a bunch of times. It's on the Los Coyotes Indian Reservation. It's a great hike. If you ever want to explore some of the back country destinations in San Diego County, that's a great one. Costs you $10. You got to pay a trespass fee to the Los Coyotes Indians. And then it's a great spot though. It's definitely worth the $10 for sure. And too bad they don't allow backpacking there, overnight stays. They do have a campground right at the base where you start the trail, but I don't believe they allow overnight wilderness backpacking. I hate to say it, but it's kind of getting monotonous. I mean, we've gone in and out of these canyons, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times. And I read that one of the knocks on this trail was the fact that they did go in and out of all these nooks and crannies, and it's like, well, they couldn't have made a straighter shot, you think? I guess not. And the fact that it's exposed. There's really no shade anywhere along the trail here. Well, what do you know? My first little patch of snow. That's where I'm headed. I can see toward the top of that peak right there, there's a little cutout in the trail. Imagine that's where I'm headed. As we're looking down toward Ranchita. I've hiked about 3.5 miles so far. To be honest, it's been kind of boring. Well, I've been hiking and hiking and hiking for what seems like hours. I'm probably pushing 4 miles now. You can see the cutout in the trail. That's where I went. That way, then that way, then that way, and up and over that, and all the way down there to that valley. And it looks like that's where I'm headed, up at the top. And just peeking out of the crest of the top of Palomar there, you can see the Hale telescope with the sun hitting it. That's pretty. I've gone total so far 4.35 miles so far. Looks like I finally got a good overview here, an overlook. I gotta admit, this is a spectacular view right here. All of the valley down here is just gorgeous. I'm still heading that way. And not only is this an amazing view over toward Ranchita, now it looks like I have a view heading south. I guess you'd call it south. South and east. Way off in the distance over there, that's Anza Borrego. So I'm working my way south and east along the P.C.T. I have yet to run across the 100-mile marker, which is kind of odd because I thought it was further back. I've also yet to see the Billy Goat Cave, which should be coming up here pretty soon. Well, I've rounded a corner, heading back into another ravine, where it looks like I'm working my way across the side of the ridge line there. But it looks like that's about the turnaround point for my hike today. I'm assuming at the top of that pass right there is a viewpoint overlooking San Felipe Valley. I'm pretty sure that is Vulcan Mountain over there. And it looks like they got quite a bit of snow. So I've got a little ways to go still. Still haven't seen the cave. Hopefully it's in the next half mile, I would think. Well, that's where I came from. That's looking north along the Pacific Crest Trail. And I keep looking for that spectacular view overlooking San Felipe Valley, and I'm just not seeing it. There's a Vulcan Mountain over there. The other side, that's Julian. I do see the San Felipe Valley down there. Scissors Crossing is down there in the bottom of that. But it looks like this trail just continues to work its way down the slope. And I don't think I'm really going to get a spectacular view along this ridge line until I get all the way to the other end. I've already hiked 6 miles so far today just to get to this point. So it's a 12-mile day minimum now. And it looks like this is it for me. This is my turnaround spot. I did pass the Billy Goat Cave a while back, and probably almost a mile ago now. And I was going to stop and take some video of it, but I'm going to wait and save that for the trip back. I'm going to stop there and have lunch on the way back. So anyway, that's our view of San Felipe Valley as we're looking south, and I guess a little bit to the east, and Vulcan Mountain in the snow right there along the P.C.T. And if you're wondering, the trip from Scissors Crossing in Anza Borrego, one way from Scissors Crossing to Barrel Springs where it dumps out at Montezuma Ranch Road or Valley Road, is 22 miles. So this segment is a 22-mile segment from Scissors Crossing, where hopefully there's a water cache, up and over until you get to Barrel Springs. Now let's go check out the Billy Goat Cave. Well, as you're working your way south on the P.C.T, you come to this section right here. And this is what has become known as Billy Goat Cave right here. P.C.T thru hikers have been known to, when they're tired and don't feel up to pitching their tent, they can go back inside Billy Goat Cave and maybe cook their dinner. And it looks like there's enough room for 1, maybe 2 sleeping bags if you squeeze together tight. And that's about it. Be a good place to get out of the wind. I don't really know why this is called Billy Goat Cave. I have a feeling that it's just named that because it's small. It's evidently it was a mine adit or shaft that they started and gave up on, and I don't know how they would have even gotten up here, but I'm going to take advantage of this spot here, and I'm going to make my lunch at Billy Goat Cave along the P.C.T. Here's a better view inside Billy Goat Cave. Not a lot in here. It only goes back about 10 feet maybe. But it was a windy day. This would be a great spot to set your stove. Well, I got my Fancy Feast stove going here. You can't really see it because it's an alcohol stove. I got a little windscreen around it. And I was going to pour the chili mac, which is what this is right here. The chili mac in the can. I was going to pour it in the pot and then just heat it up in the pot. I thought, well, I don't want to get the pot dirty. I have this can and it actually fits really nice on top of the Fancy Feast stove. So I'm just going to use that. And once it gets hot enough, I can just pull it off, set it on the side. And then I can heat up some additional water because I'm going to make some coffee to go with my chili mac. Here at Billy Goat Cave along the P.C.T. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but my chili mac is starting to boil. It's bubbling at the top, but it's not 100% hot yet. I just tasted it, and it's got a little bit to go still. I can't really set it all the way on my Fancy Feast stove because the rock is kind of cockeyed, so. But it looks like it's getting pretty close. Well, I'm eating my chili mac along the trail here on the P.C.T. right outside of Billy Goat Cave. I've never had Campbell's chili mac. I don't think I'll be having it again. I'm used to Mountain House chili mac. That's really good. This not so much. But it'll do for today. Hot meal on a cool afternoon on the trail. It's been a good hike. It's been kind of a boring hike. Not a lot to really see here. I do have my Fancy Feast stove going over there still, and put some water in the pot. I'm going to cook up some water for some for some coffee, and then start heading back. My water is at a full rolling boil here now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and here, I'll show you, just so you can see that what a tremendous job that Fancy Feast stove does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off the fire here, put it inside my cozy so I can hang on to it. This will just go out by itself, and then I'll have to get my, I should have planned this out a little better. Get my coffee. And of course today I decided to do the same that I normally do, which is the Taster's Choice instant coffee. And at least here I don't have to worry about the wind. And the Fancy Feast stove is still going hot, so got to make sure you don't get your sleeve in the way of that because you can't see it burning. There we go. So I'm going to mix that in with my Avalanche caramel latte. And combined, these make an absolutely perfect cup of coffee. At least in my opinion, it does. And the good thing about this GSI cook pot with this cozy is that you can cook it right here in the pot and then drink it out of the pot. I'll tell you what, man, on a cool day or at night or maybe first thing in the morning to get you going, this is what you need to get your life going here. You can put this on top, and there you go. Get a drinking spout. I picked this up, this cook set, $3 at a thrift store, brand new. Even came with the grips and the spork. Imagine that, huh? Well, what do you think of the hike so far out here to Billy Goat Cave, which is right behind me here, and the San Felipe, I guess, Valley Overlook? I'm not, to be honest, I'm not that impressed with the overlook. Yeah, you can see it, but you're still a long ways off, and you have to go down, probably 500 to 1,000 feet to get to the edge of that drop-off to see the true shot down in through San Felipe Valley, but it's still not bad. Just a long way to go for that little payoff, you know? This coffee's too hot, so. I didn't see the 100-mile mark on the P.C.T. I do have a map that's in here. I marked it on my map. And even though I didn't bring my GPS, I do have my Garmin. And I don't know if I have it marked on the Garmin, but at least I can get the UTM coordinates for where I physically am, and I can align that up with my map, which has UTM coordinates. So when I get closer, in fact, maybe here in a minute I'll pull it out and look at it just to get an idea. I could have sworn that 100-mile marker was about less than 2 miles from the trailhead, and I'm at 5 miles from the trailhead right here. So maybe in a mile or two, I'll pull out the map and I'll look and compare it and see how far I am from that 100-mile. I think I would have seen it. How can you not see the 100-mile marker? You think it'd be pretty obvious. You think somebody would have just kicked it away? I wouldn't think so. And you think naturally it wouldn't have just rolled off the trail? You would have thought it would have been highly visible. So a little disappointed I didn't see it, but I'll find it on the way back. And most of it is downhill. There's a few uphill sections, but I got to admit this trail has been very well graded. There were no points along the way where I was out of breath. At one point, right when I started, I had to stop for like 20 seconds, and that was it. Other than that, I was motoring all the way up. My pulse was like 122 or something like that. That's what the watch said. And it was 134 or something the last hike I went on when I was on Vulcan Mountain with Lindsay. So it's definitely a lot easier grade. So it's actually not a bad hike. I definitely wouldn't want to be here in the warmer months. Anytime after May or June, unless it was a cool day. There's no shade to speak of along the trail here, and you would just roast. There's no water sources either. So other than the water source at Barrel Springs and probably a water cache at Scissors Crossing, that's really going to be all there is. See how hot this coffee is now. I'm afraid to drink it because it was boiling. I can still tell. It's just already burning my tongue. I'm going to have to I might have to take the lid off for a minute. But anyway, I'm going to take a break here along the trail. And it's cooled off a little bit. You know, I was hiking uphill all the way and I was hot. I was sweating even in this. But this shirt that I've got on underneath this is really nice. It's I bought it because it was a Black Friday special through Hammer Nutrition. You know, I'm always bragging about how great the Hammer Nutrition stuff is. Well, I got an email from them because I buy, hammer gels from them, and they had 50% off apparel. I thought, I'm not really a brand name kind of guy, but I'll look. Well, they had a black T-shirt that's has the small Hammer logo and Hammer logo in the back, and it was $9. So I got it like 3 or 4 days, and it's like a microfiber. It's not cotton. It's not what I thought. It's actually something you can wear and hike in. It breathes really well, and of course, combination with this wool sweater, I was sweating pretty good, and it was, taking the moisture off my body and pushing it to the outside where it was going through this sweater. So anyway, my battery's about dead on the camera, so I'm going to have a sip of coffee and then start heading down the trail. I was trying to drink out of that GSI cup, and it was just too hot. I waited and waited, and it was still too hot in that cozy. So I went ahead and poured it in my Cooksa. It'll cool off a lot faster this way. Plus, this is a smaller portion. This is only an 8-ounce portion versus a 16-ounce portion. Yeah, this is more like it. I can actually drink this. Tell you what, though, man, there's a 10-15 degree difference from over there in the sun to right here in this cave. And I can feel the cold air seeping down into this little notch right here and going right into the back of this cave. So if this was your planned overnight destination, man, you better bring a good ground pad and a serious sleeping bag, because you're going to feel every bit of that cold temperature down there. I really thought it was going to be a little tall. I thought it was going to be at least that big. I thought I could actually go back in there, but without crawling in on my hands and knees, I wouldn't be able to do it. Well, I'm working my way back from Billy Goat Cave on the P.C.T, and I don't mean to discourage anyone, but see the cutout alongside the trail right there, alongside the hill? That's my trail. Goes over there, goes back there, goes around, goes back, goes all the way through there, works its way all the way down, goes up and over that pass about 5 miles away. And way down on the other side is the road. Way over there, that's where I gotta go. 5 miles. But what you don't see is in each canyon, it goes in like 1/4 mile, each one. So you don't see that. So it's gonna be a long day, but thankfully, most of it's downhill. Well, I gotta tell you, every canyon just seems to go on and on and on, and it just seems like there's no end to it. You know what I mean? My watch even stopped tabulating. It stopped at 7.57 miles. Wait, and that had to have been a while back. I'm not, I don't know, 2 miles from the car, I would think. Still haven't seen that damn 100-mile marker. Oh well. Hopefully we'll see something that looks like it. We still have great views. It's warmed up a little bit, but it's still cold. It's still probably in the, I want to say low 40s. But I'm sweating a little bit. I'm hiking at a pretty good clip. Pulse is still 122. Well, what do you know? I came blasting around the corner, and there she blows. There's the 100-mile marker on the P.C.T. So if you're so inclined, you're standing right here. It's 100 miles. Heading south to the Mexican border. I thought I was in the middle of the trail. It's actually not. It's off to the side. I just happened to look up. I'm glad I did. Well, I'm almost back to the car. I can actually see the Jeep. It's on the other side of the little meadow there. So I'm going to be popping out into Barrel Springs here any second. And I have to admit, like coming down was kind of a little bit of a torture test for me. It was just monotonous and boring. I didn't see one single person on the P.C.T. today. I went about, I imagine, 6 miles, like here at Barrel Springs. About 6 miles to the turnaround spot, which overlooks San Felipe Valley. And then I basically just took some pictures and hightailed it back and stopped at the Billy Goat Cave. Here's Barrel Springs again. And I can see why this is a little mini rendezvous spot. There's plenty of spots here for 30 tents. And the car is just right around the corner here. So I'm gonna head over to the car. I've got a nice cold beer in the ice chest. And even though it's cold, I deserved it today. This was a tough hike. It wasn't steep. It's just kind of long and monotonous. That's a section of the P.C.T. I'd never done before. And I'll probably never do again. It wasn't that bad. It was just, you know, there were some great views. That was about it. Well, it looks like I made it back from the San Felipe Overlook. And boy, that was a little harder hike than I imagined it would have been. And glad to be back at the car, and glad to take my pack off and take a break. Give me a nice cold beer. Well, I made it back to the car. Since I'm wearing my Irish kilt right next to the highway, it's a perfect place to have an ice cold Guinness. Boy, this was kind of a tougher hike than I thought it was going to be. It wasn't so much the elevation gain, because it really wasn't that bad. It's just the monotony of it all. Just went around and around and around and around. Oh, it's a fart. You know, I bet I went into 10 canyons And you could see, as you got to the viewpoint, you could see the next trail over there. But then when you got to the edge, it didn't go right there. It went way back here and around and up. And you go like around the corner, you'd see another trail going up a peak. And it'd go around to the back and around back in again. It's like, oh my God, it was torture. If you're wondering, did I get cold today, considering it was in the upper 30s to low 40s on the hike? No, I was totally fine. These socks are wool, and this is polyviscose, and the sweater's wool, and then this shirt underneath is a microfiber. It's that hammer shirt I was telling you about, and it's the moisture kind of gets sucked off your body and gets pushed to the outer layer, and then because of the mesh, not the mesh, but because of the wool fiber, it tends to just evaporate. So I was pushing the sweat out. It was hitting the outer layer, and the wind was hitting, and it was drying pretty quick. So I'm not really even that sweaty right now. Well, that'll give me like 20 minutes to kind of hang out and enjoy my beer, and then start heading home. Here from Montezuma Valley Road and the P.C.T. southbound toward Scissors Crossing. It's actually towards San Felipe Overlook, but on the way to Anza-Borrego. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Journal. A little different one. It's just a few weeks before Christmas. It's been really cold the last week and a half. Overnight low has been in the mid-30s in my house, and there's been some snow at the higher elevations, anything above 6. So if you're going to do any hiking, be prepared for winter conditions. I brought my micro spikes, didn't need them. And if you're going to be traveling up in San Jacinto, or you're going to go to Mount Baldy, you're going to go to Gorgonio, or anywhere up there along the Angeles Crest Highway, you better be prepared. Carry extra warm clothes, carry some extra water, carry some hand warmers. If you're going to be going off trail, make sure people know where you are, make sure they know what route you're taking. Have waterproof clothing, and have waterproof boots, an extra pair of wool socks, and definitely either micro spikes or snowshoes if you're going into the snow territory. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll catch you next time at another edition of the Journal, and I'll see you down the trail. You have a Merry Christmas. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Hiking Journal, my solo hike south on the P.C.T. toward the Montezuma Valley and San Felipe Hills Overlook. Be sure and click the like and subscribe button and tap that notification bell to get the latest updates on the channel as I post them. Don't know where I'll be heading next with the holidays coming up, but I do have a few interesting hikes on my radar that just might be perfect for a solo adventure, even in the snowy, cold conditions, like Corte Madera Mountain near the Mexican border, or El Cajon Mountain in inland San Diego. In fact, I might even get the chance to climb to the top of Mount Whitney pretty soon, maybe even El Capitan. Well, not exactly. I'll have to explain that in a little more detail later. Well, take care and enjoy the holiday season and time well spent with friends and family. I'll see you next year. Bye-bye.